Clancy of the Overflow by Banjo Paterson, Andrew Barton Patterson, 1864 to 1941. I had written him a letter, which I had for want of better knowledge sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago. He was shearing when I knew him, so I sent the letter to him, just on spec addressed as follows: Clancy of the Overflow. And an answer came directed in a writing unexpected, and I think the same was written with a thumbnail dipped in tar. 'Twas his shearing mate who wrote it, and verbatim I will quote it. Clancy's gone to Queensland droving, and we don't know where he are. In my wild, erratic fancy visions come to me of Clancy, gone a droving down the Cooper, where the western drovers go. As the stock are slowly stringing, Clancy rides behind them singing, for the drover's life has pleasures that the townsfolk never know. And the bush hath friends to meet him, and their kindly voices greet him, in the murmur of the breezes and the river on its bars. And he sees the vision splendid of the sunlit plains extended, and at night the wondrous glory of the everlasting stars. I'm sitting in my dingy little office, where a stingy ray of sunlight struggles feebly down between the houses tall, and the fetid air and gritty of the dusty dirty city through the open window floating spreads its foulness over all. And in place of lowing cattle I can hear the fiendish rattle of the tramways and the buses making hurry down the street, and the language uninviting of the gutter children fighting comes fitfully and faintly through the ceaseless tramp of feet. And the hurrying people daunt me, and their pallid faces haunt me, as they shoulder one another in their rush and nervous haste, with their eager eyes and greedy, and their stunted forms and weedy, for townsfolk have no time to grow, they have no time to waste. And I somehow rather fancy that I'd like to change with Clancy, like to take a turn at droving where the seasons come and go, while he faced the round eternal of the cash book and the journal. But I doubt he'd suit the office, Clancy of the Overflow. Okay, this is a poem by Banjo Paterson. Banjo Paterson is an Australian. He was born in and brought up in New South Wales, between Sydney and Melbourne, I think. But he grew up in the outback. Yeah, he grew up on I think it was a sheep farm. And he's famous for his poems about the outback and about the Australian bush. He was a journalist and an author. Let's see, he covered the Second Boer War, and he met people like Winston Churchill, Rudyard Kipling, as well as the leaders Lord Kitchener, Lord Roberts, Lord Haig. Anyway, let's see, what's this about? Well, this is about Clancy. Yeah, the Overflow is a place. Yeah, and this is a poem about Clancy of the Overflow, and Clancy, somebody that the writer knew some time ago, and he sent him a letter to find out what was happening and with him, and this Clancy had gone off droving cattle, I think driving sheep from one place to another. And the author is really very jealous of him because the author is stuck working in an office in the city, and the author dreams of how wonderful it would be to be in Clancy's place, going across the countryside and being in the bush. So I'd written him a letter, which I had, for want of better knowledge, sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago. So I sent him a letter, yeah, and I didn't really know where to send it, so I sent it to the place where I met him, near the Lachlan, where that is. And he was shearing sheep, he was cutting the fleece off sheep when I knew him, and that's a drover's job. So I sent the letter to him, just on spec, to see what would happen. Yeah, maybe I'll be lucky. Addressed as follows: Clancy of the Overflow. The answer, and an answer came directed in a writing unexpected. So he got an answer. And I think the same was written with a thumbnail dipped in tar. So it looked like the writing that he got back had been written with a thumbnail put in tar. 'Twas his shearing mate who wrote it, and verbatim I will quote it. So it was the person he sheared sheep with, and I will quote it, the letter word for word. Clancy's gone to Queensland droving, and we don't know where he are. So Clancy's gone north into Queensland, and he's driving animals, he's pushing animals around, he's driving sheep, and we don't know where he is, where he's gone. Notice where he are, the person who's writing is clearly uneducated. In my wild, erratic fancy visions come to me of Clancy, gone a droving down the Cooper where the western drovers go. So in this, to my mind came this vision of Clancy going down, I think it's the Cooper River, where the drovers take the sheep. As the stock are slowly stringing, Clancy rides behind them singing, for the drover's life has pleasure that the townsfolk never know. So the stock, the animals, are going in lines, and Clancy is riding behind them and he's singing. And there are beautiful things about the life of being a drover, living in the country, living in the bush, that people from the towns never discover. And the bush hath friends to meet him, and their kindly voices greet him, in the murmurs of the breeze and the river on its bars. So there are all sorts of voices in the bush, in the wilds, but these are the voices of the breeze, the voices of the river, yeah, the music of the river. And he sees the vision splendid of the sunlit plains extended. So he can see this beautiful sight of extended plains, and at night the wondrous glory of the everlasting stars. And in a place like this, in the middle of nowhere, you can see the stars incredibly well. I'm sitting in my dingy little office, where a stingy ray of sunlight struggles feebly down between the houses tall. And I'm sitting here in this dark little office. It's dark and dingy, where a little ray of sunlight fights, but it's very feeble, between the houses, and he gets just the tiniest bit of sunlight. And the fetid air, so the hot rotten air, and the gritty of the dusty, dirty city, and the grit and the dust and the dirt of the city, through the open window floating, spreads its foulness over all. So the foulness of the city is spread over everything. And in place of lowing cattle, So to low. So maybe he's taking cows, not sheep. I can hear the fiendish rattle of the tramways and the buses making hurry down the street. So instead of the noise of the animals that he's moving, he can hear the tram rattling down the street and the buses rattling down the street. And this is not beautiful. And the language uninviting of the gutter children fighting. So he can hear the language of the children in the gutter, the children in the street who are fighting. And this comes fitfully and faintly through the ceaseless tramp of feet. So he can hear these noises, but the main thing he can hear is the tramp of people's feet. Thump, 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 people walking everywhere. And the hurrying people daunt me, and their pallid faces haunt me. So these people hurrying around, they make me feel afraid. And I'm haunted by their white faces. And they shoulder one another, they push each other around in their rush and nervous haste. So they're pushing each other for advantages. And their eager eyes and greedy, and their stunted forms and weedy. So they've got eager eyes that are greedy, they want everything. And they're small people, they're not big, strong, healthy people. For townsfolk, people from town have no time to grow. And they have no time to waste, they're always in a hurry, as he's saying. And I somehow rather fancy that I'd like to change with Clancy. And he thinks, I wish I was in Clancy's position. Like to take a turn at droving, where the seasons come and go. So I would like to be a drover, to move the animals around for a bit, and just watch the seasons come and go. While he faced the round eternal of the cash book and the journal, but I doubt he'd suit the office, Clancy of the Overflow. And then Clancy could be here, and he could be dealing with the cash book and the journal of the company, yeah. And I don't think he'd be very suitable in the office, yeah. He's Clancy of the Overflow, and the writer is wishing that he was in Clancy's position. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Clancy of the Overflow, Andrew Barton, Banjo Patterson.